Very good morning to all of you, and a warm welcome to this webinar on opportunities for the food processing and agri-tech industries, organized by Bangalore Chamber of Commerce in association with Khalifa Industrial Zone Abu Dhabi. Now, we all know is a strategic location to set up manufacturing base, and we know that many Indian companies, they've gone there and set up their base out there and ship out finished goods to the rest of the world at an optimized logistics cost. UAE provides an excellent opportunity to Indian companies and entrepreneurs to cater to the Indian diaspora in the Gulf region and rest of the world by setting up manufacturing base in Kizad, Abu Dhabi. Yes, there will be some questions in everybody's mind before making investment, and always people would have that questions that why Kizad? How does Kizad help grow one's business, fiscal incentive, ease of doing business, etc., etc. So I'm not going to take much time about the whole event because now what I'm going to do, I'm going to talk about the speakers out here. Now this webinar is to help address some of these questions. We are going to start with this webinar with the first presentation by Mr. Salvatore Lavallo, who will talk about initiatives and incentives for food sector in Abu Dhabi. Mr. Lavallo is the of Foreign Direct Investment at Abu Dhabi Investment Office. He is a seasoned professional who has held important positions in McKinsey, Acme Venture Partners, Tony Blair Institute, just to name a few. Mr. Lavallo also holds the distinct honor of having traveled to every country of the world, one of the youngest ever to do so as part of his 193 Journeys project. The post that Mr. Mansoor Al-Marar will speak on creating new opportunities for food sector in the Middle East and the UAE. Mr. Marar is Director Commercial Zone Development at Kizad, and he has over 10 years of professional experience in developing industrial clusters across multiple disciplines such as food and agriculture, metals, polymers, pharmaceuticals, and logistics. Recently, Mr. Marar led the strategy for the food and agriculture development to enhance the development of a complete value chain establishment in the zone aligned with the UAE food security strategy. In his role, Mr. Marar developed new product concept in the sector and created various value proposition that allows the growth of the food and agriculture sector, ranging from processing, distribution, and providing proper platform for the growth of agri-tech industries in UAE. And then next presenter, Mr. Chetan Hanchate, will touch upon factors to be considered for penetration of agro and food industries in UAE. Mr. Hanchate is director at renowned Center of Processed Foods. He is veteran in the agri and processed food sector with 3 decades of experience. Center of Processed Foods provides end-to-end solution to agro-food and hospitality sector in the areas of food processing. Our fourth presenter is Mr. Naresh Pagaria, who would be presenting on market opportunities in the UAE and the Middle East region. Mr. Pagaria is Managing Director of Pagaria Foods Private Limited, based at Bangalore. His journey began with transforming their family-owned business in 1998 from unorganized masala player to a well-established brand. Today, the company is also spreading wings globally with markets in 20 countries. The company has bagged multiple awards in last 7 years, like Emerging SME, Leader of Tomorrow, just to name a few. Today's webinar's last but not the least presenter is Mr. Shubham Gupta. He will be speaking on making the most of an industrial ecosystem in the Middle East. He is Vice President Projects at Vikrant Group. He has joined Vikrant Group in 2010, and with a short span of 10 years, he has done 2 greenfield and 1 brownfield expansion projects. Mr. Gupta is a team leader and believes in automation across functions. Without wasting much time, I request Mr. Salvatore Lavallo to take us through his presentation on initiatives and incentives for food sector. Thank you. Now over to Mr. Lavallo.
Thank you so much, and I'm very happy to be here and to be chatting with all of these colleagues and giving more insights into agriculture in Abu Dhabi. I am going to share the screen. here. So I'm Salvatore Lavallo. I'm the head of foreign direct investment at the Abu Dhabi Investment Office. The investment office was only established about 2 years ago, and one of the key sectors that we've been focusing on has been agriculture. And we like to start all of our presentations with a quotation from our founding father, the late Sheikh Zayed bin Sultan Al Nahyan, and he said, "Give me agriculture and I will give you civilization." And I think this is important to start the conversations around agriculture to show that this is not something new in the UAE. We have always been looking at ways to innovate, ways to green the desert, and so it's always been a key focus of the government. However, we've really seen that there has been a significant amount of development in the past decade or so. So we had a 900% increase. We now have over 35,000 farms in the UAE. About 24,000 of those are in Abu Dhabi. We were the first country in the world to launch a Ministry of Food Security, now the Office of Food and Water Security. And then ourselves, the investment office, we launched a 1 billion dirham or $270 million agri-tech program in March of 2019. And we also have since then invested or incentivized 7 different agriculture companies for a total of 500 million dirham or about $140 million. We've also worked with the DAFSA to award 5 new agricultural projects in Musataha agreements. And more importantly, we've been working very closely with all of our colleagues, including those at Kiza, to make sure that this sector will be a success. So when we are talking to people about the agriculture opportunity in Abu Dhabi, we look at a few things. One, we look at the big need. We import more than around 90% of the food into the country. So there's a huge potential for import substitution. There's also a huge growth in demand because of our growing population, and also growth in specific types of food because way that our population is developing. And although we have had a quite significant yearly increase in crop production, this hasn't been able to keep up with that growth in demand. So that's on the demand side. In terms of the facilitation and supply side, we have land that's available through various landlords and landholders such as Kizad. We have significant support from the highest levels of leadership. During this Ramadan, we had a majlis with His Highness Sheikh Mohammed, the Crown Prince of Abu Dhabi, and Her Excellency Mariam Mahari, the Minister of State for Food and Water Security, just to show the high level of importance that the country is putting on agriculture. We also have really low utility cost. We have logistical support connecting to the broader world, 4 hours from a third of the world's population, 8 hours from 2/3 of the world's population. And we work really closely with the different universities who are working on innovations in agriculture. So all of this together really creates a great situation for support for companies that are looking to expand to Abu Dhabi. This is really enabled and made successful by the agricultural ecosystem and by the coordination between all of these. So all of these entities that you see on this page, we are speaking to almost every single day, at least every single week, making sure that we are fully aligned on what is the agriculture strategy, what are the regulations that might need to be changed or the policies that might need to be changed, and what kind of companies can we attract and how can we specifically help them as a collective unit? How can we one Abu Dhabi approach to these companies so that we're able to support them in individualized ways, and how are we able to give them the full menu of options so that we can combine the incentives that my office might give with the incentives that Kizad could give or with the incentives that a DAFSA or Salal might give. So we really want there to be that full understanding of all of the areas of support. In terms of the vision for Abu Dhabi and for agriculture, we've really 2 main areas. One is that the UAE, but more increasingly the rest of the world, is living in desert and arid climates. About a third of the world's population lives in these areas. So we want to become a hub for agriculture technology in this space, because we feel like it won't only be able to help solve the issues that we are facing, but we will be able to create globally exportable technologies that will be able to help food security around the world. The second is on support of the future of food security. So this is focused on local production. So we're not only thinking about the newest types of technologies that we can bring in and do completely new forms of production, but how can we help to upskill the 24,000 farmers that are already existing in Abu Dhabi. So we're looking quite flexibly within AgTech more generally, looking at how can we focus on the climate that we have here, how can we make sure that we're helping the local farmers as well as the new ones. But ultimately what we're thinking about always is not just solving our own problems, but helping regional and global issues as well. In terms of the way that we're able to support at the investment office, we provide financial and non-financial incentives. On the financial side, we provide a rebate program where we are able to cover on a reimbursement basis key cost centers for a company that's expanding into Abu Dhabi. So we can cover usually innovation costs like high-skilled payroll or high-tech capex, as well as cost competitiveness areas like utility costs, land costs, and maybe some like import costs. We also then work with our ecosystem partners that are able to give other financial incentives or equity assistance. On the non-financial side, there's three main things that we support through. We have an investor concierge team that provides an end-to-end support for companies that are establishing in Abu Dhabi and gives them the full understanding of all of the regulations and all the processes to get set up. We also have relationship managers assigned to each company that we are working with in order to assist them, with the facilitation, with the ecosystem. And then really importantly, we also work with all of those broader players, with KIZAD, with the Office of Food and Water Security, with ADAFSA, with Salal, with all of these players to make sure that we have that holistic approach, and that when companies are coming to the Abu Dhabi government, they are really getting the full weight of support that the government can provide, and not just one or two institutions. We have made investments of about $140 million in 7 agricultural companies. We've done 3 closed environment agriculture companies that you'll see at the top. AeroFarms, which is a global leader, valuation of over $500 million out of the States. They are building a very innovative R&D center with 6 different laboratories in different areas of vertical farms, such as organoleptic research and precision phenotyping. Madar Farms is a locally founded company that is looking at growing tomatoes indoors. And then Pure Harvest Smart Farms is also a locally grown company. They are looking they're a high-tech greenhouse, and so they are looking at ways to not only use some closed environment agriculture technologies, but to also use the resource that we have of sun. The 4 other companies that we've incentivized, they are in like the precision agriculture. So we have NanoRacks, which does agricultural technology in space. They work with NASA, with the UAE Space Agency, and do all of the research projects for the country, looking to test different agricultural possibilities in space. RNZ is an Indian founded company that then relocated to the UAE about 20 years ago. They are doing fertilizers and inputs for agriculture. Responsive Drip Irrigation is an American company that has developed the world's first technology that allows plants to self-regulate their water input. And Fresh to Home is an Indian company that does an AI and blockchain enabled supply chain, mostly for fresh fish, and they also do high-tech aquaculture for the production of fish itself. So we are always happy to answer any more questions from you, so please contact us. Also happy to answer more in the Q&A session. We are, I think the 3 things to always remember about the investment office is we're here to help any company that's looking to expand into Abu Dhabi. We are able to give bespoke incentive packages, and we will always involve the entire ecosystem. So we look forward to speaking to many of you, and I look forward to hearing some of my colleagues and counterparties speaking to you in their presentations now. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Salvatore. Now, can I request Mr. Mansoor Al-Mirar to present?
Sure. Good morning, everyone. Just let me know if the presentation is viewable at your side.
Yeah.
Great. Thank you very much. Once again, welcome everyone to this great platform. I think that brings us all together to understand really what Abu Dhabi and the UAE in general is bringing into the food and agricultural sector, and how we are promoting this sector to grow from Abu Dhabi to the region, and etc. So just to give an introduction, my name is Mansoor Al-Marar. I'm a part of Kizad, the commercial department. I look at the industrial development part, mainly focusing on the food and agri sector, and this is what I have been doing for the last few years in terms of focus. So just to elaborate, I think starting with Salvatore is a really good start, because he has really paved the way in terms of what I will be covering in the next few and what efforts we have been doing at Kizad to develop this sector and provide the right platform and opportunities for people to grow in the food and agri sector. Just to start in terms of a high-level context, Kizad sits within the Emirate of Abu Dhabi, within the United Arab Emirates. Abu Dhabi is ranked also one of the highest and safest cities in the world, and it is also on the global rank of food security index. The UAE is ranked 21st in terms of the global ranking, and in terms of ease of doing business, we are also standing at 11th globally. Abu Dhabi is very highly developed, attractive, modern, cosmopolitan, hosts more than 150 nationalities, all living harmonically within the country. Looking at Abu Dhabi investment policy in general, and how does it stand and how does it allude to the food and agri sector, the industrial policy here in Abu Dhabi in general is open almost to all industries. And when we speak specifically about the food and agri sector, the policies have been also developed recently to allow further investors that can come and capture into the market opportunity and grow from here without much of restriction in terms of having either local partners or certain capital requirements and etc. UAE is almost a tax-free environment. We've got only VAT that is applicable only on a passed-on VAT basis. Financing also, we have a lot of entities that do provide financial incentives. Some of it are coming also from government and semi-government entities such as ADIO, but other also private sector finance houses. We've got a lot of agreements and MOUs with them that supports also a lot of projects here within Kizad and Abu Dhabi in general. And also the monetary policy here in the UAE is very stable and fixed. We've got very low, globally low interest rates. The dirham, which is the UAE currency, is pegged with the US dollar, and there is not much of current foreign exchange restrictions existing. Looking at Abu Dhabi Ports, which is the mother company of Kizad and the industrial sector of Abu Dhabi, we are, as part of Abu Dhabi Ports, stands under the industrial sector within Abu Dhabi Ports, and with that we have multiple entities that look at the development of the industries. One of them is Kizad, which is centrally located between Abu Dhabi and Dubai, but we've got also Zones Corp, our sister company that looks at several other locations such as Al Ain, Al Faya, and ICAD. All in all, we've got over 1,500 companies already established across all industries located in 5 different areas. We've got over 500 square kilometer of developed area for industries and over 100 square kilometer of dedicated free zone for foreign investors who want to be within a free zone environment and a full tax-free environment. Across our zone, we've got multiple of industries that exist. But looking at the food specifically, we've got very well-known brands that are already established within the area. These are in the likes of Sadia, Spinneys, Pinar, and many others, as you see here in this slide. If we look also at Kizad is strategically integrated with Khalifa Port. Khalifa Port is the main gateway for Abu Dhabi from the seaside. And if we look at Khalifa Port, it's a multimodal port that handles different type of cargo. Container by default goes as the main cargo that comes and goes through Khalifa Port. It is connected to major global networks, over 1,000 port-to-port connectivity. The port capacity started at around 2.5 million containers, but has a huge growth capacity with a lot of concessions signed with people like Costco, MSC, that will take also the capacity all the way from 2.5 to 9 million containers in the next 5 years. Adding to that, also we've signed very recently a interesting concession agreement with a company by the name of Arabian Chemical Terminal. They're going to develop a liquid tank terminal at Khalifa Port that can feed various industries, including food industry that would require any kind of liquid storage facilities accessibility to the port, with very well integration to the industrial zone that would optimize the cost of storage, transportation, and etc. In addition to that, we have also major development at the port that would enable different type of food-related products, including but not limited to, grain storage, wheat, barleys, and etc. And therefore, we've got huge expansions that are taking place within the port that will allow for various industries that want to come and establish their main dedicated silo storage and dry bulk handling facilities within the port that could provide them also optimum efficiency in their operations. If we look at, this is an overview map of the port. The port is a man-made island. The highlighted red areas are the new expansions that are being completed as we speak. These expansions will have different type of drafts that would allow also for Cape-sized vessels, ships that could come through this area, covering different parts of the world. And Kizad is very well integrated with the port that allows entities to establish here with optimum efficiency. Now, when we look at Kizad key industry sectors, we have multiple industries that do exist across the area, but food and agri has been one of the main industries that we've been looking at, mainly driven by the UAE food security agenda, but also because it's a more of a consumption-based market here in the UAE and the region, and therefore there is a lot of opportunities for Indian companies that do export a lot of products, covering rice and other commodities, to establish here also and be closer to their markets. This is an overview map of Kizad across area A and B. As we can see, the port is integrated with the industrial zone. The target of the zone is to also diversify the economy with more of a sustainable collaborative approach. And it's more of a port and a zone-based ecosystem with a growing business community across the development. Now, with regards to our zone, also the zone is around 51 square kilometer. We've got a very specific dedicated food cluster within the zone. This food cluster is around 2.5 million square meters. Around over 75% is occupied with over 30 investors ranging from different sizes and covering different segments of the value chain. That is, processing, packaging, distribution, central kitchens, and also recently we've done a lot of promotion in collaboration with ADIO for growing the agri-tech industry. Across these segments, we've got few industries that already existing and up and running. Within the food processing, we have Pinar, Sadia, and FPC. We've got Southern Food Chicken in the central kitchen. We've got within the distribution and storage, we've got Spinneys, Al-Dhahra Holding. Al-Dhahra has a main storage facility with Kohinoor. That's a very established relationship between Al-Dhahra, which is a local-based agriculture company, with Kohinoor. And we've got also different companies in the area. So what do we do? What do we offer? We offer different type of facilities that helps people establish. So we've got long-term investment agreements and environment that helps people that want to come and grow within Kizad, and this includes service plots with optimum infrastructure available that covers everything, including water, electricity, and other utilities. The area is developed in terms of infrastructure, and people can come and invest on a long-term agreement and build their facilities on a custom-based approach and establish their business for their operations here. Other products that we offer also for companies that want to have a ready-made solution and start with probably smaller investments. We've got multiple warehouses and LIUs that are already built and constructed on a core and shell basis. These are fully developed in terms of infrastructure, so they are in a plug and play concept, and available in both mainland and free zone, so people can come and establish either storage, warehousing, or even light manufacturing activities. We've got also part of our product portfolio, our free zone startups. So companies who want to establish a trading company or a service company, or a representative of their companies within here to promote their brand and grow their customer base. We have also the free zone startup SMEs. They can have a flexi desk and establish their business at a very low cost and provide them, access to the market. All of these products also are backed with the one-stop shop concept. We've got within our building, the main building of our HQ, in one single location, all of the services that are required to get your business up and running, ranging all the way from, licensing, permitting, approvals. And this is also supported by our internal Maqta gateway system that can also provide these services through a digital platform. Some of the advantages that we look at in the food and agri sector, just to highlight a few here, but we're more than happy to discuss. We've got in Abu Dhabi the lowest utility rates in terms of power and water.
US regulation yes ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀನಿ CSSI Intertech ಅಂತ ಹಾಕಿದ್ದೀನಿ core products ನಿಮಗೆ ಕೇಳಿದೆ.
I would suggest to just mute the mic, please. Yeah. We've got within the location also certified laboratory that can do all of the food related testing and inspection, either for quality or even customs clearance processes. Duty exemption is provided on imports of all of your raw material and capital goods for manufacturing. There is a very integrated seamless inspection process for all the products that comes through the port with our digital systems. There is no direct income tax for corporates or individuals. 100% foreign ownership extended within the mainland and the free zone. So both options are available for entities. And also we've got multiple logistic service providers existing with storage facilities that ranges from ambient, chilled, and frozen states. We've got also an operational sewerage system that is part of our entire infrastructure that we provide for all entities. Some of the new products that we are bringing to the market also and is under development is we're building a few large new cold stores that will come on board around the Q3 next year. These 4 units of large cold stores will provide also different storage, facilities for people interested in the food, farm, and even other products that require controlled environment warehouses. These are around 4 units with a GFA of 70,000 square meter in total. Also, we're developing new multi-purpose warehousing, LIUs and showrooms. These are all under development within Kizad Area A. They will provide more than 120 units ranging in different sizes from 500 to 800 and can be combined together if require larger space. Within all of that, we are also, as part of the development, we're developing an entire ecosystem. So the entire area will have multiple socio-economic, factors in development. That includes, residential area, social area, landscapes, parks, logistics offices, accommodation for labor, and also for staffs, engineers, and different categories, all within one location. And there is also one huge truck plaza that we are developing that will be the largest in the UAE that will provide also a great facility for all truck drivers and logistics people. So in summary and in a nutshell, in KeyZad, our focus and the customer benefit ranges all the way from what we consider our 5 main pillars. Cost here we focus on providing you optimum competitive cost across the entire establishment process and the operation side. Speed is the sooner we can get you up and running, the better you are, and this is where we have optimized all of our processes and steps and included everything within our one-stop shop where you can get access to all of the services within a very quick time and without a lot of wastage of time. Scale. We have the facility to start small and grow from within KeyZad. Approximately 30% of the people who have started in KeyZad have asked for expansion the next 3 years. So this is a norm. We've seen it. So once we support you, we see that as the market grows, you have scalability and can grow with the development. And community is our entire development. We're looking at creating an entire community here, a city that can establish its own value proposition by itself and grow within that. And that's why our development is not only under the ground with infrastructure, but we're looking at developing the socio-economic elements of the area. And predictability finally is one of all the major also items that we look at. It's very important for everyone who wants to come and establish here to understand how does the market and the policies, the rules and regulations look like down the road 10, 20, 30 years. And that's very important because majority of the investments are long-term also, and therefore predictability in terms of policies, prices, services, and everything that we promise is clear and transparent. And this is what we always try to leverage here. And therefore, this is one of our main pillars here. So this brings me to the end of our presentation. We'll be more than happy to discuss further towards the end of the webinar if shall any questions come across.
So thank you so much, Mr. Mansoor Al-Marad. This was very informative. Now may I request Chetan to talk on his subject, which is factors to be considered for penetration of agro and food industries into UAE.
Yes, I'm Chetan here. I put on my screen. Hello.
Yeah, we all can hear you. You can
you can see my screen.
Can you share your presentation?
Presentation. One minute. I'm putting my presentation. Now you can see my presentation.
Yeah. Okay.
Okay.
Go ahead, please.
Okay. Thanks for BCIC and KeyZad to invite me for doing this particular presentation. And I have been mentioned and I have been taken up a particular topic where I can offer certain guidelines for agro-food industries from our country and other countries, what they should look for to get into KeyZad and start their operations. That's what the objective, what I have considered in my presentation. I will show you what are those factors which becomes important for every industry, food industry to look at. I'll start my presentation. First, I would wish to inform here that agro-food industry operations is an imperative sector. I wish to first mention about food sector. That's why I come up with this slide. If all food industries have to operate, food industry has to supply food from that nutrition and energy to all the operators in all kinds of industries. Food becomes very important in every aspect of life. So all countries will have to first address essential sector, that is food industry, on top priority than other industries. If food industry exists, all other industries can operate. Let us understand now the population dynamics and kinds of food consumed in UAE. Why I want to address this is food consumption, food supply depends on the kind of people living in a particular place so that food can be supplied to them, whatever they like to eat, and from what food they are trying to derive the nutrition. That's what I mean here. So we can decide what kind of packed foods we have to adopt for manufacturing and marketing in a particular place and offer it to all the people. Now, if you go into the UAE or Gulf countries population, what kind of population is there? Out of total population, local population eats more traditional foods. Out of total maximum population in Gulf countries, if you want to start any activity and market our foods, floating population is very huge. Also, long living foreign resident people, foreign resident people are very huge. But floating and long living residents are eating varied foods. They eat their own food to derive the nutrition. Foreign and floating population in use in UAE all prefer their style and authentic food. All outside people, even if they are in other country, they try to offer consume their own style food and their authentic foods. Of course, unavoidable sometimes they don't mind eating different foods. But if somebody is living in that country for a longer time, he opts to practice his own style food, his traditional foods only. Slowly he keeps changing. We should know all these factors. So, importing packed foods from many countries is imperative to UAE or any other country, especially in UAE because it is all kinds of people are living there. They have to import different kinds of foods. When this challenge is coming to that country, they are importing lots of foods, packed foods, and they are allowing so many people to start operations there. But very soon now they have started looking out for few foods to get processed and packed on their land. There only they are asking people to come and process and serve the food. Not only for one country, for all kinds of countries, whoever is their population living there. So inviting few food industries to set up their factory on their land. And with this background, Kizar is now looking forward towards promoting more of agro-processing and food processing industries. Also to the hospitality kind of food and beverage sector they're trying to promote. So Kizar got involved in UAE focusing, now they are looking forward to focusing the food industry also. Apart from their focus on many areas. But if all other, I've said earlier, if all other industries has to operate, they have to first focus and offer food to all the operators. To open possible food products manufacturing culture, Kizar is looking forward and inviting food exporting industries to set up food factory in their kind, in their land. This becomes very important. Now, giving certain guidelines to follow for industries from our country if they want to enter into UAE and start operations, whether it is a small scale or a large scale. They have to adopt operations. They have to look forward to certain things, certain guidelines they have to follow. That's what I'm intending to inform here. That is, export semi-processed foods to UAE. From their country, they can send in bulk the semi-processed foods to UAE in Gujarat industrial area. Final blending or finishing or extrusion operations can take place in Gujarat industrial area in their own unit or in a contract manufacturing unit, which is being tied up with them. And then after packing, it can be marketed in GCC, and from there they can also export to many other countries. Being food science expert, me, I suggest all food industries, if they are looking at Kizad kind of place where they want to start and venture into setting up their factories or start their operations, production operations there, better they all venture into dry products, extruded or to be extruded and deep oil fried products operations only, not fully wet products. I saw earlier speakers speaking about agriculture and fresh materials, they are growing fresh food, they are growing, but it is directly going for direct consumption in the local market. It cannot be shipped to the food industry as a raw material. So other industries, if they want to start something in Kizat industry area or other countries, they have to look for dry raw materials they have to operate, and in especially in Gulf countries and think lesser.
Yeah, can other people
Request to kindly mute your
mute,
mic.
kindly mute. Okay, next
Please
is
go ahead, Chetan.
lesser with the wet raw materials to start operation and think of less labor adopting operations. It should not be labor intensive, workers too many. It depends on the cost. That's important. These are the guidelines they should follow. For example, I'm saying whatever I mentioned earlier. For the two examples I'm giving, what kind of industry they should look for. One, I take it as the extruded snacks. A company with their brand, if they want to launch the product in UAE or GCC, they have to think about exporting from here blended powders which can be extruded, popped up, and then made into a snack in that facility, and then it can get packed and it can be sold in GCC countries. This operation, this kind of operation will be continuous operation and it will be less labor intensive operations. That's why you should opt this kind of product process. Second example I'm giving, masala manufacturing company from India, suppose. They should not think of getting all and doing roasting, powdering, blending operations and all. Some of the operations, all the powders which have been ground after primary processing, it can go into their individual format to Kizar in their factory or any other manufacturing facility, contract manufacturing facility. They can blend their masalas there. Just blending. Individually they are sent and is blended into different masala and is packed, and the packets can be sold in UAE or GCC countries, or it can also get exported to nearby countries. This helps cost saving facility, cost saving activities in Kizar and also for a company who is trying to sell their products in large quantities. I also, earlier slide I mentioned here contract packing facility in Kizar. I want to emphasize more on that particular thing is, we look forward contract or common or rental facility whether Kizar does set up or not. I suggest, my views is for many Indian operations to start their product manufacturing in Kizar only, I suggest ISAT to set up 2 or 3 types of rental contract manufacturing facilities for manufacturing certain kind of products, that is dry powder blending and packing facility. It can be offered on a rental basis or on a lease basis or on a contract basis. Food extrusion systems, you will have an extrusion system where persons can come and they can manufacture their snacks and pack it and go and sell. They need not do the capital intensive activity. End-to-end biscuit baking line on a contract facility. I already learned positive and negative temperature, cold and frozen stores are already done. Lot many industries from our country can look forward to operate in that particular facilities instead of doing the capital cost. Apart from this, general packing facility also should be set up in Izar so that many small, medium scale industries having very good brand name can also start operation in from Izar industrial area. Now, I mentioned about our country raw materials going there and getting packed and being sold in that countries. I am thinking in different lines also about starting industrial activities. Is now to let us look at how to make use of food crops from GCC or UAE for processing activities. There are certain food crops being grown. Now agriculture is there, but the quantities is very less for an industry. But there are some certain food crops which can be looked into for many other products manufacturing. What is that? UAE or GCC grown crops. What is that? First example I'm taking is dates. GCC and UAE, they are all exporting only wet or dried format of plain dates to many countries for many years. If they continue same, other country expert food industries will set up value addition factories in Giza for manufacturing many date-based products for bulk B2B or B2C also, for the world and for their own country also. We are all looking for this, which is not happening on a very large scale, and that should have happened from a date growing countries. They should have kept that particular value with them. But if you offer that chance to us, definitely our industries can start manufacturing dates-based patties, juice, squash, jam, so many, even wine, gravies, pulp, medical purpose required for homeo, alcohol, and it can be manufactured there, and that company can manufacture product can be exported to many other countries, to also their own countries. If you're open for this, yes, many industries will come into Kizar in different scale of operations. For date processing, Kizar to offer free area shed. I'm saying free area because we are going to buy your dates. That's why I'm asking free. Many industries will come and start their operations with very large scale also. If so, industries will start manufacturing many value-added products. If you open these kind of things, lots of competition starts, and as I offered many new product ideas, first chance to be offered to our industries. If capital and operating costs are less or same as that of our country, then we will look at UAE, Kizar to start our operations. Many industries will look for that. And maybe few packed valued products manufactured at Kizar will get exported to many other countries which is nearby. This is what I wanted to say, and hope you have brought some opportunities and possibilities to venture into UAE. I'm sure Kizar will offer good gestures to make our food lines, food industries happy. If yes, we make you more happy with lots of foods. Lots of foods means all scales of operations should be opened. If you're looking forward to only large scale industries, many brands, many products will not come into your country. If you help open up for many industries, many scale of all scales of operations, many foods will come. Why? Because we are interested to feed our style food to NRIs living in GCC countries also. This is what I wish to mention. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Chetan Hanchate. I think this was really informative. And with Mr. Al-Marar when he spoke about UAE ranks 11th in ease of doing business, no tax. I think some of the information which he provided, it really makes a lot of excitement for Indian companies to set up their food companies in Kizad. I'm sure some of us will get inspired by that. Thank you so much. Now may I request our next speaker, next presenter, Mr. Naresh Pagaria, to talk on market opportunities in the UAE and the Middle East region. Thank you so much.
Thank you, everybody, for giving me an opportunity to share my views on the market opportunities available. I'm just opening my presentation. Just give me a... is my screen visible?
Yeah, it's visible. You have to make it a slideshow.
Yeah, I'll do that. Okay, so thank you once again. What I would be focusing more is on the market opportunities available for Indian food industries in UAE. While Mr. Chetan has made life of mine a little more easy by presenting the opportunities from production perspective, I would be more focusing on the market opportunities that are available from the UAE market for our Indian food industries. Just 1 second now.
Naresh, straight away come to thank you.
No. I think I don't know why it is not getting clicked up. Just 1 second now. Oh my God, sorry. Just give me a second, sir.
Sure, sir.
Can you come out and reload again? I think
that's what I will do. It's just got hang down. Just one. Okay.
Prithvi, do you have his presentation? Then we can.
Naresh, can you just send it to me?
I have sent to Mr. Sharma.
Oh, okay. I'll ask him to display.
Can you please help me? Sorry.
Yeah. Yeah, Naresh, you can go ahead.
Yeah. Thank you, Prithvi. I'm extremely sorry for the convenience cost. Okay, so my focus would be on the market opportunities available, and in this context, I'd like to just about what our company is, just for 2 lines, just to understand the kind of scope available. It's no way of promoting my company as such. Okay, so we are a leading exporter to almost 20 countries in the world, and the whole story of Pagaria Foods started with UAE down 8 years back. We are the second largest cereal exporter in the country. We have been participating in Gulf food for the last 8 years, again in Dubai, which has really helped us. That's one of the strong reasons for our export base into 20 countries today. And Dubai and other in the Emirates in the UAE. Breakfast is one of the biggest opportunity available for exports to UAE because of the kind of heterogeneous market that UAE with a lot of foreigners and visitors in UAE. And apart from that, we are also available in the top UAE retailers like Carrefour, Choithrams, Almaya, and many others. Today, due to our presence in UAE, we are really able to get inquiries from all parts of the world, whether we are talking about Africa, Australia, Europe, etc. So this is in a nutshell about how our company is. Can we go to the next slide, please? Yeah. So now, just a brief about, after giving brief about my company, our companies in UAE, the role of our company in the UAE, I just want to take along as to what is the scope of market available there. Now, Dubai, which has been the biggest market and the focal point for exports for us, is not just in not just UAE, but also the Middle East market, because that's a hub for exports to all part of the world. Especially it's a focal point for African countries. A big game changer for us and many food industries has been the Gulf Food Exhibition, which is, is the de facto #1 food exhibition in the world today, and it plays a very important role for companies like us, and not just companies like us. Every year, almost 200-250 companies from Indian food visit there and try to project their products to the entire world, and the entire world comes there. So that makes a huge difference in terms of the market, the scope of the UAE market. And it's been very inviting, our experience of the last 8 years, because as a company, this is 8+ years that we have been participating in Gulf Food, and the UAE market and the UAE people have been very inviting. So that again is one scope for us to grow to the next level. Yes, Dubai port being very customer friendly, our overall experience, whether it is Dubai port, I'm sure Khalifa port also would make a lot of difference to. It will be very similar to what Dubai port gives us as an opportunity. Overall, the government and the business is very business friendly, as we can see from the presentation of Mr. Mansoor Al Marar. They are really that, and we've been exporting from the last 12 years or so, and we have been overall very accepting with their approach. So that also going to be a very big game changer. And UAE is a very, very big market, mainly because it imports almost everything from various parts of the world. So that itself makes us a very big opportunity. The industries are not many as of now, and probably that is also one reason why today UAE as such and Khalifa zone is there in our in this whole where they want to promote their trade zone. So it's a very big opportunity. And when it comes to India being a very big time supplier to Dubai because of its close proximity and also the good business relations. Yes, one of the other big time important thing is about the local ethnic population, which Indian population is quite big there. In fact, when we go to Dubai or any of the places, we don't feel like we are out of the country, except living the kind of growth that they have achieved. So that also helps us in terms of opportunity available to our maybe traditional and ethnic products. So that again is next slide, please. Next slide. Yeah. So just adding on the kind of scope for Indian food industry. Yes, good consumption, which I've already told in the earlier this thing, because the consumptions are quite huge there. A lot of visitors come along Dubai, Abu Dhabi and all that. They are very big time foreign visitors place. So it's opportunity good. It gives us a good opportunity for Indian food industry. And India, as in the world today, stands in terms of foreign investment. I think Dubai is one of its biggest, Dubai and UAE can be its biggest partner in terms of taking business to the next relation, and food industry can really play a very big role in that, is what my strong perception on that. Yes, local ethnic population of Indians, again, that's a repeat point, but it still is a very relevant point when you talk about the scope for the Indian food industries. And the presence of the world's top retailers there, the Carrefours, the Lulus, the Choitrams, makes a lot of difference. It helps us in penetrating into the market in a better way. In terms of organized retailer, because they're across the Middle East and UAE, they almost covered today 70 to 75% of the retail sales come from these bigger chains. So it makes it easier to enter into that market with these kind of retail chains. So this is in a nutshell that I'm trying to give it the scope what is available for Indian food industry. And I'm sure Khalifa Industrial Zone, which is being promoted, can play a very big opportunity for us as Indian food industry. And let me also assure Mr. Mansoor and the other team there from Khalifa that even Pagaria Foods will try to explore the opportunities available. And I'm sure a lot of people who are hearing today will also like to take this opportunity and try to explore setting up their base in Khalifa. Thank you, everybody.
Thank you, Mr. Naresh Pagaria. That was really encouraging. And there is already 2.5 million Indian population in UAE, another 2 million South Asian, total 4.5 million South Asian. And setting up anything in UAE, probably not the Indian diaspora of 2.5 million UAE, but also another 5 to 6 million in Europe and US. That also can become a manufacturing base and can support that market. So I completely agree with you. It's a big opportunity, I think, and we would see going forward, a lot many people would go there and set up shop. Just the beginning. So thank you so much. And with that, I'll call the last but not the least presenter, Mr. Shubham Gupta, who would be speaking on, presenting on making the most of an industrial ecosystem in the Middle East. Over to Mr. Shubham Gupta.
Yeah, very good afternoon, everybody, and thank you very much for the opportunity you have given me to speak to this this webinar. I believe most of my points are already been covered by Mr. Naresh, Mr. Chetan, and Mr. Mansoor. So I have only very few points to add on. But anyways, as rightly mentioned by Mr. Mansoor, that that the online ecosystem, what government is given for the approvals and for the speed is definitely not available by anybody else. So before giving my presentation, I would like to before discussing my ideology, I would discuss that what are the different this free zones and non-free zones available currently in the Middle East. Are the Sohar free zone and the Modern in Saudi Arabia. And if we take into UAE, there are a lot of free zones and non-free zones in Sharjah and in Kizat, in Jebel Ali is Jafza, and there are again very many 3 to 4 non-free zones also available. So the by our company was basically it is strategically located near Jebel Ali Port. It is strategically located the lowest cost. The cost we have Kizat and that are
Line is breaking.
Kizat.
Shubham, we are lost connection with you. The audio is not there. Shubham, we request you to log out and re-log in again.
There is a small interruption, but I think we hold on for a minute.
Or can we open it for
Yes,
question
yeah, I
answer?
think yes. I think we can start for question answer session.
As and when Shubham joins, we can.
Yes.
Yeah, we can throw open the questions.
So you can write your question on the chat box.
Nakshatra, you have to unmute.
Few people have raised their hand. Mr. Vivek Nayak, Mr. Satish.
So the question from Vivek is, spices, masalas may require sterilization for controlled TPC levels prior to export from India. This would mean retail packed foods to be exported from India. Considering repacking in UAE could be practically challenging and expensive. I think it's a bit of a technical question, so I will ask Mr. Chetan if you can throw some light into this.
Yes, it is very important. It should get exported after the compliant product to shop, and then there it can get packed. Or if you set up a facility there, then it can be made use there.
Yeah.
Either one of that.
So are you saying that not necessary we can still send the powder there? We can do the sterilization and can do the packing. We don't have to do the double packing.
It is
We can
better
avoid double packing if we have sterilization unit there in UAE.
if you offer facility there, it can be done there. Otherwise, it can be made in our country and send it to.
Can I?
But I don't know what is your country's compliance, regulatory compliance. That is sure.
It's a question from me. This is Vinod.
Mr. Vinod, go on.
Yeah. See, the main challenge out there is it's not about what we can do from India. In India, most of the spices what we consume traditionally is cooked. Sterilization is happening by itself in most of the cases. But whenever we do exports of spices from India, each country would have its own TPC levels. They would say they would look for bacterial count, the log5 levels and TPC counts, the volatile oil content, and there are a lot of other parameters that they define very strictly. So well before any food is any spice is sent across or exported from India, it is carefully packed, and that's an expensive affair per cost per unit. And once packed, it is preferred that it's only opened at the consumer level. If you open it in between, then you are exposing it for recontamination. So one of the points that came up was exporting spices and then again blending and repacking at the place. Practically, that will be a double effect. And spices generally, as you know, post roasting, the flavors have to be held on to, and it's always preferable that primary packing is always completed, and final, it may be just putting it into the boxes can be done, but exposing the raw material and again repacking is practically not possible. This is my experience on the subject, and this is what I wanted to communicate to you all.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Vinod. I think we really need to look at that and find out a solution for that. And probably a study would be required on this. Yes.
Fair enough. There are ways people have been doing it. There are many options people do use. But end of the day, anything what you once it's always a given. Any food which comes in its natural form, it's a God-given, is well packed. The minute you do any kind of processing, then you're basically working out with your shelf life. So there are different instances where different things happen. This was just a point that was raised, nothing more. It's a wonderful
point well taken, Mr. Vinod. In paucity of time, probably we really need to look at this and we need to come back. But it's a really very good point that you have made. Thank you so much. We really need to look at that. So should we really look at Mr. Shubham Gupta, if you are there, quickly, if you can present for 5 to 7 minutes before again. Yeah,
of course. I'm very sorry, my connection got lost. So okay, let me refresh again. So I was discussing upon what are the different available opportunities for investments in the available free zones and the non-free zones in the Middle East market. So currently in Saudi Arabia there are Modern, in Oman there is Sohar free zone, And in UAE, there are a lot of free zones available, like Jafza, then there is in Sharjah, and Kizat is a completely new free zone which has been established not many years ago. And what I found about Kizat is basically their utility cost is very much competitive as compared to any of the other free zones or the non-free zones available in the market. And their labor law is very relaxed in comparison to anything like Oman. They have their own labor law for the local employment, and definitely it adds on to the cost for whatever is the cost for the manufacturing. And but here in Kizat, in UAE, the labor law is quite relaxed. And if we particularly talk about Kizat, the utility cost is quite lowest, I believe, in any of the free zones available in the UAE. And one important aspect is, apart from the electricity, they have the gas also available there at a very competitive rates. So in case if any of the industry needs a lot of gas, or maybe needs direct baking furnace or furnaces, so then they have good utility available there at a very competitive rates. So like Mr. Chetan said that we need to look at the utility cost. So I would likely to address Mr. Chetan's concern that me myself as an investor, we have gone through all the check boxes and found that the utility costs are very competitive as compared to anything on the market. And as already told by Mr. Mansoor, that the ecosystem what it offers is very good. I mean, all the government approvals are online, and they are very speedy, and no, and everything is available with your own head office. Like any approvals you need, you do not need to go to any of the door-to-door activity need not to be done. It is completely done in just one single building. So any approvals you need, it is just plug and play. So this is the kind of environment we got from Kizat, and definitely it was the most conductive part, which I will say. And apart from this, there is a very good hand holding for company formation. It was very fantastic. And if there is any doubt with regards to VAT applicability, or anything like opening bank account or these things, definitely these things does not come on the on the brochure of Kizat, but definitely these things are off the hook. They will help you to any extent whatever is required to keep your industry running in a timely manner, in a deadline what you have fixed. So they have their priority for your deadline to be enabler as a enabler. And and apart from this, I believe, as it is rightly said by Mr. Naresh, that the UAE has offered very good growth opportunities to him and to his company, and definitely it has offered very good growth opportunities to many of the Indian companies. Because he has a lot of diversified consumption and a value-added consumption base. So definitely, once you tap into that market, you always have the growth opportunity, which you cannot have that in your own home country. So I would like to conclude my my conversation here.
Thank you so much, Shubham. I think that was really interesting, informative to all of us. In fact, who would be looking at exploring opportunities there in Kizat. Thank you so much. Now, if there are any questions, you can post it. You can put it in the chat box. Thank you, Mr. Shubham Gupta.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Karan.
So, if If there are no further questions, Mr. Nakshatra, you can take over.
Yeah. Am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir.
Okay. So I think it was a good presentation by all the speakers. First of all, I would like to thank Mr. Salvatore Lavelo, the head of Foreign Direct Investment Abu Dhabi Investment Office. I think he has, I think one quote what he mentioned, I would like to repeat that. Give me agriculture and I will give civilization. I think the excellent the quote. And he has also mentioned about the various initiatives and incentives for the food sector in Abu Dhabi. It was a very elaborate, and I think most of the people, those who have heard today, I think definitely they will think before investing in other countries rather than preferring to the UAE. And second speaker, Mr. Mansoor Ali Marar, Director Commercial Zone Development, Khalifa Industrial Zone Abu Dhabi. I think he has given different the tax-free environment being provided to the any investors, including Indian investment. I think I thank both Mr. Salvatore Lavelo and Mr. Mansoor Amrar. I think thanks a lot both of them for giving in such a wonderful presentation. And our Mr. Chetan Hanchite, our the director and Center for Processed Foods, Bangalore, and how Indian companies can penetrate the agro and food industries in UAE, and what are the factors to be considered. I think it was a really excellent the presentation. Thank you very much, Mr. Chetan Hanchite. Mr. Naresh Pagaria, the Managing Director of Pagaria Foods Product Limited. I think he's the one, I think from the unorganized to the organized sector, and how exactly the company has turned over, and what are the market opportunities in UAE and Middle East region. I think very, very successfully he has done the job there. I think his penetration, his company's penetration, I think it is a good story to start, or it is a motivator to start other companies in Middle East. Mr. Subham Gupta, Vice President Projects Vikrant Group. I think thank you very much, Mr. Subham Gupta, making the most of an efficient industrial ecosystem in Middle East. Elaborate speech. And lastly, and our Mr. Ankur Bhumik, the Chairman of the Agro and Food Processing Committee of BCIC and Chief Operating Officer of MTR Foods, for moderating and also giving a welcome speech. And Mr. Prithvi KK, who has conducted the whole session so nicely and without any hitch and timely. And in addition to that, all the speakers, on directly or indirectly, they have motivated our investors, participants to invest. I think they will all be in touch with the BCIC and as well as the speakers on the Qasid this one in future. The participants, I think most of the participants have registered, maybe due to some or the other reasons, they may not be able to get the link, and also they have taken their own time of their office and other things. They have last 1.5 hours, they have listened to us, and definitely they will. I thank every one of the participants who has paid their valuable time, and they are with us. Thank you very much for them also. And lastly, the BCIC Secretariat, who has done the whole webinar most successful, and for them also the last 20 days to 25 days, they have worked very hard to get the seminar most successful. Thanks a lot. I think if anybody I have left out, please forget me. And thanks a lot. Thank you very much for all the success of this webinar. We look forward for an investment from Indian companies in Middle East. Thank you very much. Thanks a lot.
Thanks, Nasimah, being able to compile the entire session. Yeah, we need to thank you a lot, sir.
Thank you.
And actually, sir, there's one question from Vinod. Will Karan be able to answer this in the chat box?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah. Are there any specific incentives offered to management consultancy companies and project management companies dedicated to food processing sector?
So in specific, we would need to understand exactly what is the management consultancy service that the person is able to offer. And I can get into more details into that separately with Mr. Vinod offline. But if there are several opportunities that are available, and certainly we can explore on this particular subject basis the kind of consultancy and the opportunity that he is able to provide. No doubt in that direction.
Fine.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Mr. Karan Kapadia, for
thank you.
initiating this the whole webinar from your side. Thanks a lot for your the whole contribution. Yeah.
And also bringing the right speakers from
Yes.
Kazakh. That's very important.
We are grateful to Mr. Karan Kapadia for this.
Thanks, Karan, for all your support.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
We hope that we carry forward this engagement into a
Yes,
fruitful,
of course.
discussion.
We are definitely very happy to have started this engagement. It has always been our endeavor to ensure that we get into long-term partnerships with various industry bodies. India is a very diverse country, and I think the opportunity that Kizad is able to present to a variety of industries, specifically the food sector, is tremendous, and we look forward to many of the Indian food companies taking advantage of the benefits and opportunities. We will, of course, be happy to engage in more detail and more specifics with interested parties so we can take this partnership forward. Thank you very much, BCIC and the management team of BCIC for organizing this particular event.
Thank you. Thank you very much, sir.
Can I speak, Mr. Nakshatri?
Yeah,
Yes,
please.
Yes, please.
Please go ahead.
Mr. Nakshatri, I'm sorry, I joined meeting late and I was
Okay.
not able to go through. I was not able to go through the regular first presentations.
Okay.
I would appreciate if you could get a copy of this recording.
Definitely, sir. Definitely, sir. It is my
As
pleasure.
you are aware, we are already doing business with UAE and Middle East.
I know
all the supermarkets.
Yeah.
I'm sorry I missed. I came late for the meeting.
Yes, sir. I will send it to you. Okay. Kisad Prithvi. Mr. Prithvi? Hello?
Hello?
Mr. Prithvi. I think
yes,
for the whole event, Kisad has sponsored the program. I think
Yes, you had acknowledged.
I think once again, thank you very much for them. Okay?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Thanks a lot. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Everybody.